Joining me today on the Inspiring Sofa Chats is double Olympic gold medalist, triple world champion, and super mum of three, Helen Glover.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Let me just start with that. It must, mum of three now.
Good. Yeah, which still feels really weird to hear it said. Yeah.
I can just imagine. So where did it start for you? Where did it begin? How did you get into rowing?
A really unusual route. I was really sporty when I was younger. I grew up into sport. And then, as lots of people do in my teens, and when I went to university, I found that partying was probably more fun than the sport some days, and I didn't quite make it as far as I maybe could have done, should have done in the sporting world. And then when I was leaving uni, I'd done sports science. I started to become a PE teacher. My mum called me up and she said, "There's this advert in the paper." I was 21 years old, and it was an advert for people who were tall to get tested to try a new sport. And for me, it was rowing. I was talent ID'd into rowing, and I'd never rowed before, and I was 21, and it was all to try and get people to the London Olympics in 4 years' time. So it was 2008 that I first picked up an oar, sat in a rowing boat, and 4 years later I found myself on the start line in 2012. So it was a life.
Oh my goodness. So in 4 years from even just starting, you won an Olympic gold medal. That is just so inspiring for anyone who's thinking of even getting into a sport, that you can actually achieve that. I thought you were going to say, oh yeah, I started when I was like 6 years old. So that is just incredible. So, and your first...
Well, I used to think that's what you had to do. I was exactly the same. I thought if you don't do it by the time you're 10, you'll never be any good at it. I was like, and I was proved really wrong. And I think it was a really good lesson, actually.
Definitely. And so your first Olympic Games to 2012, that was in front of your home crowd. And did you win the first gold of that Games?
Oh yeah, it honestly, I had only just come to terms with the fact that I was a rower, let alone on Team GB, and let alone going to my first Olympics. And it was at home, and my gran was watching in the crowd. It was like this kind of perfect storm of stuff, which was just so too big to really comprehend after just doing it for 4 years. And yeah, we were day 5 of the Olympic Games, and Team GB hadn't won a gold. They'd won some amazing silver medals, but no gold came. And so ours was the first national anthem of the Games. We were the first gold of the Games, the first women to ever win gold for Team GB at the Olympics. And those were all things that I had never... I mean, you just don't think about those kind of things. And so I just couldn't have even imagined that moment even being more special with those things.
Oh, just the whole story is just like a dream anyway. And then 4 years later, you return defending your title. Did that just bring a whole different feeling and energy?
Totally different, yeah. Like, London was really exciting. It was this home games. We were so fresh. We were so new. It was so exciting. We were the underdogs. We were the unknowns, and it was nothing but positive. But then once you've won once, there's suddenly a weight of expectation. Suddenly things feel quite a lot more serious, and you're no longer this fresh-faced newbie. You're somebody who people want to beat, and other people want to and expect to win. So yeah, there was definitely a feeling of it being kind of a lot more riding on it, but actually the feeling of winning felt a lot more real, because it was a bit more kind of... I come to terms with the fact I was a rower. I was come to terms with the fact that I was an Olympic champion. It took a long time to digest it all. So by the time Rio came around, I was ready to win and to feel really hard earned.
Oh, I just can't even imagine that. And then to win again, and now we're 4 years on, and obviously there should have been an Olympics this year, but your life is very different at the moment. You have a 2-year-old and twins, Kit and Willow, who are 9 months now. Is that right?
Yes, 9 months. Yeah.
So as you entered lockdown, you had 3 under 2 at that point, didn't you?
Yeah, the twins were 2 months old when we went into lockdown.
How was lockdown for you?
It was great, actually. I say it was great. It was obviously hard, and I wouldn't have chosen to have this happen in terms of, you know, the way that we were in terms of where our family was. It was very tricky with the three of them being so young, but also it meant that we had to kind of lock ourselves into this family unit that we'd never done before. Steve, my husband, spends a lot of his time traveling and being abroad, and he got to witness all the little moments, and he got to witness all the things that he missed occasionally with Logan, our 2-year-old. And so it's been an incredibly stressful, tough time for everyone, but it was there are things that I think we'll look back on and see as special, even if at the moment we don't realize how special it was. You know, there are things that will be sad that we'll never get back, that my parents haven't spent a lot of time with them still, that Steve's parents haven't spent a lot of time with them still, that some of my friends haven't actually met the twins, because there's just not been. I know when they were kind of 1 month, 2 months, we kind of thought there were endless opportunities for coffee and cake and meeting the babies, and it's just it's going to be well over a year, I think, when people finally meet them. But you know, it's a small price to pay for being careful and being safe and making sure we do our bit and do our best to be safe.
Definitely. I mean, I my little one's just turned 1, so we were sort of not expecting the same year. So and equally, my partner's normally away a lot filming. So when he's now, we got to see the first steps and all those moments. So I think we will look back, like you say, and really appreciate this time for actually bonding as a family, and you becoming a family.
Yeah.
Jumping from a family of 3 to 5 in that moment, it was probably valuable months that you didn't realize you were going to have. So seeing their little personalities now, do you think, I know it's very early stage, do you think you'll encourage them into a sporting world and potentially at a competitive level?
It's really tricky, and I think lots of people assume that Steve and I will. I don't think we'll push any direction. I think that what I'd like to do is make sure they feel they've had opportunities to try lots of different things. I think it's really important to find what you love, and if they love it but they're not competitive, then I'm genuinely absolutely fine with that. If they it's almost more tricky if they love it and they are competitive, because that's when you have to start thinking about how, you know, what they might go through, you know, the ups and downs and the emotions of sport, and I always want to protect them from that, you know. So as long as they love what they do, I genuinely don't mind if it's competitive sport. It's a really wholesome thing to do with your life. So actually, if they went down that road, I would be proud, and I would be encouraging it. But in my time in sport, I've also seen that parents can be the downfall of a child who's exceptional in the sport, and I would never ever want to be the parent that drives a child so hard that they fall out of love with sport.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger of starting very young. You can not experience other stuff as well that then prevents
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
So you're part of She Rose. You're an ambassador for this campaign. Tell me about it.
So it's a campaign that was set up by British Rowing, really to kind of highlight the fact that there are more men in rowing than women, and there's no reason that should be the case. And it's really kind of a snowball effect from the 2012 Olympics, where the uptake of people, women would kind of take up the sport. I've met people who didn't realize that women were even allowed to row. They thought it was a men's sport. And so this kind of realization of A, that sport looks amazing, and B, I can do it, and C, there's a club down the road from me. I think most people would be really surprised at how many rowing clubs there are scattered all over the country. So that's what London 2012 did. It got the masses into rowing, and then this campaign just really kind of highlights the fact that it's a great sport for women. It's really good for women. It's good for your strength, your posture, your core, and a big part of the program is to kind of teach people how to row on a rowing machine really well. So you can go into your local gym and you can use that rowing machine.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, because it is it is accessible for most people, but like you say, no one knows even where their
Yeah.
local club is. So it's a really good campaign. So now you're a mum of 3. How do you fit training into your weekly schedule?
It's very full on. So because Steve's been home, we got into a good routine of, after the baby's first feed, I'd feed them and pretty much throw them at Steve and get out and do some exercise. So that would be around 7 in the morning. And I'm always just a bit happier when I've done that, when I've done some exercise, whatever it is. Especially if it's a sleepless night I've had with the babies, I find a bit of exercise actually a bit better than a bit of sleep at that time of the day, because I end up a bit more groggy after sleep. So I'll do some exercise then. And if I'm on my own, or if I can, if all the timings, if the babies have a midday nap, then I'll try and do something when they go down to sleep then.
Oh, yeah, that's it. It's about, actually, because I thought, oh, when I had Sophia, that I'll just keep my similar routine, but your priorities change completely. And also, you just have to be flexible. Like the amount of times I've gone in to do a workout, and 10 minutes in, Sophia's woken up from a nap, and that's it. You're stopping and you're just rescheduling in those moments. So finally, a question that I'm asking everybody is, describe motherhood in 3 words.
Oh, that's a good question. um, Fulfilling, emotional, and I'm gonna say guilty, because like I'm sure I have that thing that every single mum gets, where like you always feel like you could be doing more. And I think that's something that everybody gets, but no matter how much you rationalize it, I feel guilty because one of them didn't have me at some point in the day.
That's it. You're torn now 3 ways, and you're going to get it on a completely different level, but it's 3 times the fun, 3 times the madness.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting times, and I love your Instagram. It always seems like a kid bundle in your photo.
Yeah, it basically is. If in doubt, lie on the floor and they all just come and lie on you, blow raspberries on you. But at least I'm just like, okay, I can kind of shut my eyes for a second, even though I'm being trampled on.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, it's been so lovely to talk to you, and thank you so much, because I know how busy you are.